Before we get on to the video, do me a favor and hit the like button, it greatly helps out the channel. Also, while you're down there, subscribe for more. Now back to the video. Lee noticed that Taeyong was hesitating, so he ordered him to fire again. Taeyong fired at the unsuspecting zombie king, and although the bullet was blocked by the zombie king's barrier, the sound was able to disorientate the monster. Using this opportunity, Lee called out to On Minty, and On Minty threw grenades infused with holy power. The grenades rolled underneath the zombie king, and then it exploded. The shock wave and the sound from the explosion damaged the zombie king's body. On Minty quickly stuck his shield in the ground, and he braced himself to shield his comrades from the explosion. After the dust from the explosion settled, the spirit of the dead suddenly started levitating up from the zombie king's body. After all the spirits were out, the zombie king's corpse turned to dust. Lee and his comrades watched in shock as the spirits quickly moved away from them. The spirits flew over to the zombified Blue Flower Guild members. Using them as shields, the spirits quickly regenerated the zombie king's body. Afterwards, the monster sent the zombified Blue Flower Guild members on Lee and his platoon. A short while later, the zombies closed in on Lee's platoon. Seeing the horde of zombies approaching them, Lee ordered Minhwa, Sungmo, and Kyungjin to change their magazines. After they changed the magazines, Lee took the rifles away from them using his metal control ability. Then, using that same ability, he pointed the guns, as well as his own, at the zombies. And with a determined expression on his face, Lee opened fire. As the zombies headed for Lee, Kyungjin noticed a shiny object on the hip of one of the zombified Blue Flower Guild members. Kyungjin, who had the thief trait, noted that even though he only got a glimpse, that item on the hip of the Blue Flower Guild member should be at least rare grade. While shooting down the zombified Blue Flower Guild members, Lee threw a grenade in the air near the zombie king. The grenade exploded, and the sound terrified the unsuspecting zombie king. This annoyed the zombie king, and it let out a roar. Then the zombie king turned into its spirit form again, and it flew away from Lee, bringing the zombified Blue Flower Guild members with it. After everything was clear, Junmo held his shaking legs, and he expressed that during their face-off with the horde, his legs almost gave out. Minnie dropped to the ground, expressing that he thought they were all going to die right there. Junmo continued to hold his shaking legs in place. He turned to Minnie, stating that it seems the crisis has been averted for now. Minnie agreed, expressing that it seems that way. Lee overheard this, however he was still on the defensive. It's true that they managed to avert the crisis as per the plan, but he felt like something wasn't right. He glared in the direction the zombie king fled, noting that there weren't as many zombies as he was expecting there to be. He recalled the prompt from earlier that informed him that the zombie king had appeared, and he questioned why the prompt was distorted. Lee couldn't shake this feeling, so he told his comrades to focus, since the gate isn't over yet. And after they were all rested, Lee told his platoon that they should move out now. As Lee and his platoon prepared to move out, a silhouette of a man approached the edge of a cliff close by, and he started observing Lee's platoon closely. The man pointed out Lee's platoon to a black snake that had wrapped itself around his body, and with a grin he expressed that it seems they have some interesting ones that came in this time. Lee and his platoon continued to explore the dungeon, however he still couldn't shake this unsettling feeling. And it didn't help when there was nothing in the dungeon. As they explored, Lee's platoon didn't come across anything. No facilities, no zombies. They couldn't find anything at all. Lee raided countless dungeons in his previous life, but this is his first time seeing a raid this strange. As they continued to explore, Lee noticed that an unfamiliar metal suddenly started moving 20 meters behind him. Lee, using his metal manipulation ability, threw his combat knife 20 meters behind him into a forestry dense area, and he controlled it so that it would head for the neck of whatever was behind him. However, before Lee's combat knife made contact, he heard a voice begging to be spared. Lee stopped his combat knife near this person's throat, and this person started shouting that he is a human. This person deactivated his stealth skill, and he came out of hiding with his hands in the air, expressing that he was hiding because he thought Lee's platoon were zombies. Afterwards, this person, Kim Tiseo, a D-rank hunter from the Blue Flower Guild, with the sniper trait and stealth as his main ability, informed Lee that he is a survivor from the 3rd Raid Squad. Lee glared at Tiseo with a skeptical expression on his face. He was suspicious because Tiseo claimed to be the sole survivor of the 3rd Raid Squad. Tiseo leaned on a tree close by, and he started breathing heavily. He apologized for the inconvenience, but he asked if Lee's platoon could spare some water and food for him. Previously, outside the raid gate, inside the Blue Flower Guild, Silim Ding temporary operations room, before Lee's platoon arrived, a man in a suit entered the room, and he hastily reported to Catherine that the Gugwing group just sent a secret cooperation letter to all the big guilds. Catherine struck the table in shock. The man in a suit added that apparently the AMT will be sending regular soldiers for this raid as well. Catherine started biting her thumb nervously, questioning if there was anything else. The man in a suit told her that the leader of the Gugwing group added the clause that whoever retrieves his grandson's body and the hero-grade spear of Achilles in the second joint raid will be given 80 billion in rewards, as well as a massive sponsorship on behalf of the Blue Flower Guild to the Hunters Guild. Hearing this left Catherine in shock. And in the present, as TCO ate some MT rations, Lee asked him about Operation Retrieval. TCO told Lee about what transpired before his platoon arrived, and he later on explained that the retrieval operation is a mission the Blue Flower Guild raid squad was assigned to. TCO told Lee that the mission was to retrieve the spear, and he added that the higher management of the Blue Flower Guild made it the raid squad's top priority. However, TCO explained that at the gate entrance, his squad was wiped out by zombies. Lee noted that this must be the reason why the great Catherine was being so careful when he provoked her earlier. And with a grin, he thought to himself, questioning if Catherine really believed she could keep this hidden from him. As TCO stuffed his face with the rations, he continued on saying that the reason why the spear was in here is because the chairman's second grandson Gu Din-hoon, who was in possession of the spear, failed along with the first raid squad. Minnie finally pieced together why the Blue Flower Guild members were so hostile to them when they arrived at the site. As TCO ate, Minnie noticed On Minty glaring at TCO. He turned to him questioning if something was wrong. On Minty lowered his head. He walked away expressing that nothing was wrong. The man who had been observing Lee's platoon since earlier was starting to get agitated. He expressed out loud that he thought some fun ones came in this time, but they're all just sitting around chatting. This person raised some monsters from the ground, and with a grin he expressed that he will make things fun for them. Lee suddenly started sensing a bunch of different metals approaching. He started counting, however the number continued to rise. The number quickly climbed over 120, and the number of different kinds of metals was still increasing. Lee glared in the direction that he sensed the metals, noting that this is dangerous. Lee quickly ordered his squad to get ready. He told them that they are going to use Plan C. Lee's comrades were shocked, and in their daze Lee ordered On Minty and Minnie to set up the equipment. On Minty and Minnie dropped their backpacks on the ground, and they opened it, revealing a bunch of metal beads. Then Lee ordered everyone to drink their potions. Lee's comrades took out the potions that increased their mana and health for a short period of time, and they quickly drank the potions. TCO looked on in confusion, wondering what was happening. After taking the potions, Lee gritted his teeth and he clenched his fist. Then he called out to Junmo. Junmo quickly approached Lee, and Lee whispered to him what he had to do. And Junmo listened with a horrified expression on his face. Afterwards, Junmo relayed everything Lee told him to the others, and the others expressed that they understood. TCO, who was tired of being ignored, angrily questioned if Lee's platoon doesn't hear him talking. TCO approached Junmo, demanding he tell him what Plan C is. He expressed that since he is with them he should know about the plan as well. Junmo told Teeson, with an agitated look on his face, that they were going to run, and he told Teeson to make sure he follows behind them, or else he will be turned into a zombie. Teeson was in a state of shock. He questioned why Junmo was saying that they were going to run. Behind Teeson, the monsters that the man who was observing Lee's platoon released had almost made it to the base of the cliff, and the commotion caused by the monsters' footsteps caused TCO to turn around, and he froze with a horrified look on his face. Lee used his metal manipulation ability to make all of the metal sphere leviate out of the bags that On Minty and Minnie dropped on the ground. Then he ordered his platoon to withdraw from the current zone. The man on the cliff watched as Lee's comrades ran, leaving him behind, and with an evil grin, he questioned if this was the best plan they could come up with. And as the monsters got closer to Lee, he expressed that staying behind as bait won't work if you get killed in a few seconds. Lee widened his stance, and he took a deep breath as he prepared to run. TCO looked back as he ran away with Junmo and the others, and he questioned if the Plan C that they mentioned earlier meant to abandon Lee and run away. He asked Junmo if this plan wasn't too reckless. Junmo told TCO that Lee planned this tactic himself, and he assured TCO that even though Lee is reckless, he is not the type to fail. At the scene of the battle, Lee ran into the horde of monsters, and as Lee ran by, one of the monsters noticed. It turned its head in confusion, but it was struck by the metal beads infused with mana. Lee sensed this and he used his metal smash ability, crushing the bead and releasing the holy power, which caused a small explosion and defeated the monster. As Lee continued to run through the horde of monsters, more of his metal beads came in contact with the monsters, and when that happens he would use metal smash to release the holy power within the bead. The man on the cliff was impressed with Lee's strategy. However, he stated that with all the noise from the beads, the other zombies will go crazy. And as he said this, the Zombie King and the zombified Blue Flower Guild members felt the shockwave from the explosions that Lee's caused. The Zombie King let out a battle cry to rally the zombified Blue Flower Guild members. Afterwards, they started heading in the direction of the explosions. At the scene of the battle, Lee continued to make his way through the monsters, but he suddenly sensed a metal among the zombie knoll that was completely different in rank. He turned his attention in the direction he sensed the metal, and he saw the silhouette of the man who had been observing his platoon, with 2 zombie gnolls beside him. Lee observed this person, questioning if they were a villain. The 2 zombie gnolls beside this person quickly rushed at Lee. After seeing this, Lee started to speculate that this person might be the necromancer. While Lee was immersed in his thoughts, the 2 zombie gnolls got the jump on him. They jumped in the air and they attacked with a downward swing of their weapons. Lee noticed, however, it was too late. The gnolls landed their attack, breaking Lee's helmet in the process. The gnolls' attack injured Lee's head. He jumped back, and he gritted his teeth in annoyance. The gnolls proceed to attack Lee repeatedly, but he was able to dodge each attack by using the skill combo. While trying to dodge the 2 gnolls' attacks, Lee maneuvered to the front, and now he had the attention of all the gnolls. Lee reached forth his hand, and mana started flowing out of his hand. As the man on the cliff watched this, he questioned if he expected too much out of Lee. This person grinned, expressing that it looks like the iron beads infused with divine power that Lee prepared so diligently, and his mana was out. But then this person noticed something strange. In the sky, above the gnolls, were pieces of metal. This person quickly realized that the metal pieces are the shards of the iron beads from earlier. Lee motioned his hand down, and all of the iron bead shards rained down on the gnolls, wiping them out. The scene then shifts to the Zombie King, who was approaching quickly with the zombified Blue Flower Guild members. However, as they approached, their attention was drawn to the sound of an explosion. Suddenly, another explosion went off a short distance away from the first one. A short distance away from the explosion, we see Junmo and the others running away. Tisio looked back, questioning why Junmo was setting off explosives. He wondered if the plan wasn't to sacrifice Lee so that they could run away and get to safety. Junmo told Tisio that that would be a ridiculous plan. He explained that this was a deception operation, and their goal from the very start was to lure the zombies away from Lee. As Junmo and the others set off more explosions, the Zombie King started heading towards them. The man on the cliff observed this. He finally realized that Lee wasn't the bait. He held his forehead in disappointment, and he expressed that he never would have expected things to play out like this. This person started laughing hysterically, and he expressed that he never expected that these guys would be so much fun. Lee stood in the pile of zombie gnoll corpses, and he looked at this person, wondering why he was laughing. He couldn't figure out what the deal was with this person or his objective for entering the raid gate. And the most concerning thing to Lee is that this person mixes right in with the zombies. Suddenly Lee received a message from the system. The message stated that Lee has just a little bit over 2 minutes remaining on the potions he took. Lee glared at the prompt window and he started questioned if this person could really be the necromancer. The snake that was wrapped around this person lifted its head and it started spitting out a weapon. This person grabbed the handle of the weapon, expressing that now that he has seen what they can do, he wants to know what their blood tastes like. He continued on saying that the only way he can do that is to soak this spear in their blood. Afterwards, he drew the spear from the snake's mouth. Lee glared up at this person, and in an annoyed tone, he expressed that he was only going to ask once. Then he asked this person if he is the necromancer. After hearing the name, this person froze, and he started shiver because of fear. Lee was taken aback by this reaction, and he questioned if this person wasn't the necromancer. This person threatened Lee in a furious tone. He expressed that if Lee wants a peaceful death, then he better speak the truth. He asked Lee how he knew of the necromancer and questioned Lee's identity. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then hit the like button.